What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ben on Sports. Today, I have the weekly edition of NFL Preview, NFL Picks on the road to 200. I'm going to have this one coming out a little bit later. I had some technical difficulties with the NBA one. It was ready to go earlier than I put it out, but there were some technological difficulties getting it uploaded. So to give you guys more time in between episodes, especially what's going to be longer episodes, I figured I'd delay the release of the NFL weekly picks and previews. So sorry if you're upset it's not coming out on Wednesday, it's coming out on Thursday. Like I said, I just wanted to give a little bit more time between episodes. But without further ado, let's get into reviewing week 7 in the NFL, starting with Thursday night football. The Bengals win a shootout with the Steelers. Joe Flacco, man, Jamar Chase fantasy owners rejoice. Chase looked good. Higgins looked good. That whole passing offense looked good again. They're still not getting stops, and they're still not running the ball too well. But Joe Flacco certainly looked good. Steelers defense doesn't look like it can stop the pass. And the Steelers offense wasn't too bad. But in the end, Cincinnati wins it, and their playoff hopes are still alive, especially if Joe Flacco can continue to play this well in the absence of Joe Burrow. I haven't had a good track record in primetime games. I certainly didn't last week, or I should say week 6, because this is week 7, and then we're going to predict week 8. And that continued. I thought the Steelers were going to win this game, and the Bengals did. Can I recover from a slow start? Jaguars and Rams in London. Jaguars kind of jumped, or the Rams jumped all over the Jaguars early in this one. Jaguars still seem like they're not consistent on offense. Part of it, I think, is their pass game not having consistency. They have a drops problem in Jacksonville, a very real drop problem in Jacksonville. Rams go to London, pick up the win, and I think the Rams are proving to be an elite team, potentially elite team in the NFL this season. Who did I pick? I did pick the Rams. The Chiefs and Raiders, not a lot to say. A good team versus a bad team. Rashee Rice is back for the Chiefs. The Chiefs seem to be operating close to where they're expected to be. The offense seems like it's better. The defense looks like it's getting better. Maybe this is the game that gets the Chiefs back to the Chiefs everybody knows and hates. Not too much else to say. Raiders need to get healthy. I never thought they were going to be that competitive this year. Maybe Pete Carroll can eventually get things turned around. I did pick the Chiefs to win this game. Titans hosting the Patriots. Patriots kind of got out early and then just kind of kept their lead. The Titans did score some points here in this one. Drake May still looking good. Patriots still looking good. Titans still looking like they're coasting towards a top 5 draft pick. Two teams heading in opposite directions in this one. Patriots did what was expected as I picked the Patriots. Browns and Dolphins, ugly weather game between two bad teams. It was the toilet bowl game of the week. And the Browns win 31-6. Tua Tagovailoa with a rough game. 3 interceptions, including 1 pick six, 1 interception that got the Browns to like the 4-yard line, which obviously essentially gave the Browns 14 points. Miami's defense looked like it played a little bit better, but I'd argue it was weaker competition. I don't think Cleveland is actually 25 points better than Miami, but what do you expect, Miami, when you play awfully? The Browns played better. That defense just absolutely smothered Miami's offense. We all know what their defense is capable of. And the Browns score way more points than they have the rest of the season. Miami, you didn't lose this game because of refs, like I saw some of you saying. Yes, there was some bad calls. I went back and saw the calls you're talking about. You lost this game because your team sucks and you're outmatched on the offensive and defensive line every week. Browns proved that they were the bigger, more physical, tougher team, and they took it to the Miami Dolphins this week. Who did I pick? I did pick the Browns. The Jets and the Panthers. Guys, why did I think the Jets were going to win this game? I spoiled it. I did pick the Jets. Panthers with a 13-6 win. The Jets defense looks like it's playing much better as of late. Panthers didn't score as many points. The Panthers have been scoring a lot of points. Did not this week. The Jets, man, I don't know if they're ever going to get that win. Rough start to Glenn's career. Justin Fields is now benched. And, for understandable reasons, this offense has looked anemic, and Justin Fields can't get the passing game going. The Jets are okay running the ball. They just have no pass offense, and it hurt them in this game. As I already said, I did pick the Jets. Panthers now with a winning record, right? Wow. Bears and Saints. I said the Saints might be able to hang around in this one because they're better than people realize. They hang around in a lot of games, but the Bears eventually put them away by 12 points. Bears look like they're a mid-20s offense, right? They scored 25 in 2 consecutive games, then scored 26 this week. Bears taking care of business at home against the team they should beat. Offense stays, clicking pretty well. Who did I pick? I did pick the Bears. The Vikings and the Eagles. Remember, I had a qualifier. If J.J. McCarthy started, I was giving the Vikings a chance. He did not start. Carson Wentz did. Therefore, my pick converts to the Eagles. And the Eagles got up early in this one and kind of coasted their way home. Vikings tried to mount another comeback, and yet again, they fall short. Vikings have got to find consistency throughout the entirety of a game. Eagles finally rebound after losing 2 games in a row. Who did I pick? I did pick the Eagles. Chargers and Colts, and I didn't think this one was going to be that close. I don't even know if it's as close as this score entails. I just think the Chargers were overcoming too many injuries in key positions, and the Colts offense quite literally has been one of the most efficient in the 21st century. Eventually, I think that slows down. Eventually, I think Danny Dimes has a couple bad games. Eventually, I think this Colts offense returns down the earth, but their offensive line is just so good. Their run game is so good. It makes the passing game that much better. This Colts offense showed out again. The defense did enough, especially against the banged-up offense. And just as I predicted with the Colts, they won this football game. The Broncos and the Giants in one of the craziest football games I've seen. The Broncos just didn't show up to play for 3 quarters. They let the Giants score 32 points, and this is supposed to be a good defense against an offense that's okay but not great. And the Giants were taking it to the Broncos all day. And then the 4th quarter, the Broncos wake up from their slumber and score 33 points in 1 quarter to beat the New York Giants. Obviously, it was aided by a couple of bad decisions, led by an interception from Jackson Dart to help get the Broncos back. But this is a game you should never, ever lose if you're the Giants. What an embarrassing loss. The Broncos find a way to fight off what looked to be a surefire loss. And that helped me out because I picked the Broncos to win that game. And the Cardinals losing by 4 points to the Packers. It was a close game the entire way. The Cardinals love playing close games. They just can't win any of them. Still stuck on 2 wins. Eventually, they need some of these close games to go their way. Cardinals had to lead multiple times. I think the Cardinals, if I remember correctly, were leading or tied longer than the Packers were. And just at the end, Cardinals kick a field goal. Packers score a touchdown in the 4th quarter, and that when they were tied at 20, and that ends up being the difference. It's why you have to score touchdowns, not field goals, ladies and gentlemen. One of the themes of this channel's football coverage. Who did I pick in this close, intense game? I did pick the Packers. The Cowboys and Commanders, and the Cowboys, it looked like it may have been fun for 1 quarter, and the Cowboys just took it to the Commanders. Jane Daniels is now hurt again, and the Cowboys double up the Commanders with the score of 44-22. I've been trying to tell you all about the Commanders. I told you they were making the playoffs last year. I told you they might struggle this year. I told you don't get too high on Jane Daniels. Sophomore slump incoming, and he's been hurt. That's all I'm saying. This Cowboys offense was not going to be stopped by this Commanders defense. And even though this Cowboys defense isn't that good, the Commanders struggled moving the ball against them, especially with a backup quarterback. And as you can see, it led to a dominating win by the Dallas Cowboys, just as I predicted. 49ers and Falcons, Sunday Night Football. Falcons only scored 10 points. This 49ers defense is banged up, but they're still finding ways to get stops. They still have a really good passing offense, which went up against a really good passing defense. Made for a very interesting game. And in the end, the 49ers I was going to say score enough, but I really think the story of their game is their defense holding the Falcons to just 10 points. And they pick up the win, just like I predicted. Moving on to the Monday Night Football doubleheader, the Lions and Bucks. Lions winning at home 24-9. Buccaneers couldn't overcome all of the injuries offensively. Also had some turnovers, their worst offensive game of the season. Lions only scored 24 themselves, but that proved to be more than enough as they pick up the home victory in a game between two playoff teams that might even see each other later this season. And I predicted it correctly. And the last game of the week, the Seahawks hosting the Houston Texans with a 12-point or an 8-point 27-19 win with Seattle. I think Seattle was kind of in control most of this game. Yes, Houston was always close, but I never got too worried about Seattle losing this game. Jackson Smith-Njigba has been the best wide receiver in the NFL early on this season, and Seahawks go home with a win against the Texans, just as I predicted. And as you can see here, 13-2, my best week of the regular season. That's going to help us. I'm going to need a lot more weeks like this where I go 13-2 or something similar. If you remember, my winning percentage last week was 63%. The 13-2 has got it all the way up to 66% in just 1 week. Maybe I'm not dead in the water for our season goal of finishing with 75%. Still a long way to go. I'm going to have to stack a lot more of these type of weeks together. And this slate is a little bit interesting in my opinion. I think a little bit some of these games are a little bit difficult to pick, but I'm going to do it anyway, and hopefully I continue with this week's success. Let me know in the comments below how you did picking games last week, and let me know your winners at the end of the episode for who you think is winning this week. Also, let me know if you are currently beating me head-to-head with the overall record. Without further ado, Thursday Night Football, and from Inglewood, California, SoFi Stadium, the Chargers are 3.5-point favorites in what I think will be a top 5 game of the week. This is one of the hardest games this week to predict, in my opinion. I have it as a toss-up, and both of these teams are banged up. I don't know if I trust Carson Wentz at quarterback. I think the Chargers offensive unit I trust a little bit more than the Vikings, but I think I trust the Vikings defense a little bit more. So with that being said, let's get into the keys of the game. If you are the Chargers, you need to rush the quarterback well. Khalil Mack is back. The Vikings are going to be on Carson Wentz. I think if you can get pressure on Carson Wentz, you can make him fold, turn the ball over, makes your life easier. I think they're going to have to protect Herbert long enough for this pass game to develop. The Vikings are one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. They have a high blitz rate. You're going to have to protect Herbert, or this Vikings defensive line will get to the quarterback. It will get sacks, and it will make your life that much more difficult. And they need to handle the blitz as well. This Vikings team blitzes. Everybody knows how much Brian Flores loves blitzes. This Vikings team is going to blitz, and that blitz rate is going to pick up even more in the red zone, and the Chargers need to be ready for it, or it could be game-ending, drive-ending, that kind of thing with the Vikings defense. If you're the Vikings, you need to force turnovers. I think the Chargers have you a little bit outmatched offense to offense, which is crazy because this Vikings offense has a lot of weapons. Big difference at quarterback, though. Vikings need to force turnovers. And they need to keep the defense rested, keep the defense off the field. I think this defense can get a lot of stops and can help you out, but you can't be going 3 and out. You can't be turning it over. You have to get the defense rest, or eventually they will falter and move and aid to do that, right? 2 and 3 kind of go together. Move the ball consistently on offense. It might not always lead to scores, but just if you can get the defense a couple minutes of game rest, right? I think that'll be enough. Obviously, you're going to need to score some, but keep the ball consistently moving. Stay ahead of the chains. Don't make Carson Wentz have to win you a game where you're 2 or 3 touchdowns back. So just be consistent on offense. I don't know who who I think is going to win this game. My gut is telling me Vikings, but I think the Chargers are the better team, and they're at home on Thursday Night Football. So I really, really want to pick the Chargers, but my gut's telling me to stick with the Vikings. Just something about this matchup. I will reveal it at the end who I pick because I might need that long to decide. And I will, obviously, as I always do, I will show you guys when I give you the summary of my picks. Moving on to the Sunday slate. 1 o'clock in Cincinnati. Cincinnati, 6.5-point favorites over the Jets. And if the Jets offense struggled against Miami's defense, this feels like one of their last opportunities to get it going. Let's look at the keys to the game. If you're the Bengals, your rushing game has not been very good. The Jets' defense is better at stopping the run. Just let Flacco chuck that thing. Let it fly with Flacco like you did last week. That's your best offense, getting it to your receivers. Let Flacco throw the ball around. This is a great opportunity for the Bengals defense to get right against a struggling Jets offense. If the defense is ever going to get it right, this might be their opportunity to. I want to see the defense have a good game, hold the Jets to not a lot of points. Otherwise, it might just mean the defense is cooked, and that might already be the case. And then shut down this Jets rushing game. The Jets would rather run the ball. They prefer to run the ball. They do it well. They've really struggled in the passing game. They have one of the worst passing offenses in the NFL. Shut down the rushing game. See if they can beat you through the air. And if you are the Jets, force more turnovers. I still only have one forced turnover on the year. If a struggling offense can very much so be helped by you forcing turnovers, giving them plus field possession. I want to see the Jets force a turnover. Pressure Joe Flacco. Good way to force turnovers. Pressure the quarterback. You know they're going to throw the ball. Flacco at times later in his career, and even earlier this season when he was with the Browns, sometimes struggled under pressure. Maybe if the Jets can get pressure, especially against a bad offensive line, the Jets can produce turnovers, and they need to find a passing game. This Bengals defense is not that good, and I think they're going to be ready to stop the run game. If the Jets can find a consistent passing game, let's see if they can just hit like 215, 220 yards passing. Even that would be an improvement for the Jets. They need to develop it. Who do I have winning this game? I do have the Bengals. Sunday afternoon game in Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium. Lamar Jackson is returning, and with that, the Ravens are 6.5-point favorites over the Chicago Bears. Let's get in the keys to the game. If you are the Ravens, keep Lamar going and keep him healthy. Or get Lamar going and keep him healthy. He's been on the shelf for a couple weeks. You're coming off the bye. Get Lamar back into the swing of things and get him going early in this game. Also, make sure you keep him healthy. You can't lose Lamar again. You need Lamar the rest of the season if you want to have any chance at turning the season around. Keep him healthy. Your pass defense needs to show up. The Ravens defense has been better as of late. And when I say that, I mean the last game before their bye. They had a bye last week, and before that, they played the Rams. Their pass defense needs to show up. They held the Rams offense to only 17, which is pretty good with how good the Rams offense is. This Bears team loves to throw the ball around. Baltimore's defense, particularly their pass defense, is going to need to show up. And don't let it be a shootout. Baltimore with Lamar has gotten into a couple shootouts, and while they're capable of winning, Lamar returning from injury, you don't want them to have to be on the field scoring a whole bunch of points. Make it nice and simple on the offense. Just try and win this game something like 28-24, 27-23, in that range. Don't make this game be something that hits the 30s and the 40s if you are Baltimore's defense. If you are the Bears, find success against a defense that started the season bad. Yes, the Ravens have had their most recent game, they were successful. But for the most part, this Ravens defense still has not been that great, especially against good offenses. I think the Bears could potentially get it going in the passing game with how many wide receivers they have. And I think the Bears are going to have to do that to win this game. Contain Baltimore's run game. Everybody knows how much they love to run the ball, whether it's Derrick Henry, whether it's Lamar Jackson running around. They have to contain the run game, which I don't think the Bears have always necessarily done well this season. Don't let the Ravens run the ball first. And get off the field on third down. This Bears team, has sometimes struggled with that. I think the Bears need to get off the field on third down. You cannot continue to allow teams to have such a high conversion rate. You get off the field, get the ball back to your offense, get that defense rested. Who do I think wins this game? I think the Ravens have a coming out party and Lamar Jackson's return from injury, and the Ravens win this game. The Falcons and the Dolphins from Atlanta. The Falcons are 7.5 point favorites. Let's get in the keys to the game. If you are the Falcons, number one, just let Bijan Robinson go for the rushing record. Honestly, this Dolphins defense is so bad. If Rico Dowdle can run for over 200, if the Chargers can run for as many yards as they did, this Miami rush defense has been so bad this season. One of the worst I've ever seen in my life. Bijan Robinson, who might be the best running back in the NFL, might go for an all-time record this week. Just give it to Bijan Robinson and let him do work. The Falcons have one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. Shut down Miami's pass game. Miami's run game has been very up and down and inconsistent. Shut down that pass game. Don't let Tua throw it. Or don't let Tua be the reason why Miami is in this game, even though he has struggled as of late. And then force turnovers. Tua has so many turnovers. I believe he has back-to-back 3 interception games, and I think he might have 3 this season. He has some fumbles. If you can run the ball well and force turnovers, there's not a lot of hope that the Dolphins have in this game. And this Dolphins offense certainly will turn the ball over if you pressure in the right spots. And if you're the Dolphins, defense needs to sell to stop run. I don't care if you're putting 8, maybe even 9 guys in the run game. In the box sometimes. Atlanta's passing offense can be good, and they have weapons, but it hasn't always been good this season. You know that they can run the ball. You know they can run it well, and you know that your defense has struggled. Do whatever you have to do. Sell out, get tougher, whatever it is. You have to find a way to stop the run game where you have no chance. Tua Tagovailoa needs a turnover-free game. He doesn't really have many of those this year, and Miami has 1 win. Go figure. Tua Tagovailoa needs to be turnover-free for the first time in quite a few games, and they need long, diverse scoring drives. When Miami was at their best and about to beat the Bills and beating the Jets and playing well against the Chargers, they had diverse play calling. They had long scoring drives that took time off the clock, so a struggling defense didn't have to be on the field very long. They're going to need to do that this week to help the defense out against an excellent rushing attack. I don't think Miami accomplishes if any of these goals. I think Atlanta runs the ball really, really well. They shut down Miami's passing offense, and I think Atlanta wins this one comfortably. 1 o'clock another 1 o'clock game between the Panthers and the Bills. Buffalo 7.5 point favorites on the road, coming off of a bye week. Let's get in the keys to the game. If you are the Panthers, keep running the ball. This Bills defense has been a little bit shaky in stopping the run. The Panthers, I think, are a run-first team and have had success against many teams this year. Keep running the ball if you're the Panthers. And on the other side, the Panthers need to shut down Buffalo's run game. The pass game for Buffalo has been shaky. It's been up and down. The strength of this Buffalo offense has been giving the ball to James Cook. Don't let Buffalo run the ball, make them beat you through the air, which is crazy when you have an MVP contender at quarterback, last year's MVP at quarterback. But I do think the strength of this Buffalo team has been running the football this year. And if you're the Panthers, you need to force turnovers. I know that I say it for a lot of teams, but to get an upset even at home, you're going to need to force turnovers. The last couple of weeks going into the bye week, Josh Allen hadn't been as strong and as dominant as he normally is, throwing some interceptions. You might be able to force a fumble. The Panthers need to find a way to do the same thing, and they've been okay at forcing turnovers this year. Panthers undefeated at home. Maybe they can come up with a big upset. And if you're the Bills, Josh Allen needs to be great. I don't think Josh Allen, maybe other than that Baltimore Ravens insane game for the start of the season, has had a Josh Allen game where he plays really, really well, has an MVP-like performance. I think he needs to do it this week, and especially against a weaker Panthers defense. Take away the Panthers' run game. You're playing a backup quarterback and Andy Dalton. The Panthers are a run-first team anyway. They're probably going to lean on it even more. Take away the run game from the Panthers. Make Andy Dalton beat you, because then you can force the old backup quarterback that hasn't played a lot recently, into mistakes. And the Bills defense is, I think, pretty good at finding interceptions and forcing fumbles. Um, do those things, and I think the Bills could coast. In fact, I'm going to take the Bills to win this game. I know, a shocking take. Another 1 o'clock game, Energy Stadium in Houston. Houston is 1.5 point favorites over the 49ers, and what I have labeled as a top 5 game of the week. Let's get into keys to the game. Texans convert on third down. They have been awful at converting on third down, and obviously it kills all of their drives. I think they could be a more consistent offense if they can convert on third down and get the percentage up. That's going to be imperative for them this week. Offense needs to have 220 pass yards. This Texans passing offense has really struggled. CJ Stroud hasn't looked the same. I don't know what's going on with it this week, with how good San Francisco is against the run, and they're not bad against the pass, but I think their pass defense is a little bit weaker. I think Houston's going to have a better passing game, and I think 220 is a good number to try to get to. Passing yards, I think in total are down because of a variety of things. Chiefly, I'd say the kickoffs, the drives just haven't been as long because of the new kickoff rules. And I think so. 220 used to be not a lot, but I think it's better than people realize it has been this season. Give me, the Texans, point number 2, need to have a good passing day. And defense, they're playing one of the best passing offenses in the NFL, if not the best. Defense needs to take away the pass game. It's a good defense for a reason. They're capable. Can they do it? If you're the 49ers, you need to limit turnovers. They haven't always done that this year. They've lost a couple of games because they get turnover happy. They have a high turnover number. They need to limit turnovers. Houston's offense has enough trouble scoring. You don't need to help them out. Better red zone offense. The 49ers have good yards, but they kick a lot of field goals. They need to score touchdowns. This Texans defense is not going to give you a lot of red zone opportunities. So when you do get down there, you better be scoring touchdowns. And last, need to keep passing game alive against strong pass defense. Texans passing defense, one of the best in the NFL, as I previously said. 49ers have one of the best passing offenses, but they cannot run the ball. They've had so much trouble running the ball, and I don't think it's going to be much better against the Texans. So if they don't have the pass game, their offense is going to struggle. They need to find a way to stay successful with it. Who do I think is going to win? Well, I think San Francisco was the better team, even with all their injuries, but I always worry about West Coast teams playing 1 o'clock games. So I'm very, very nervous. However, I'm still going to pick the 49ers, but I think this is going to be a tight, close game that might end in the teens, something like that. But give me the 49ers, even though I think this game is incredibly close. And we have a rematch of 2 weeks ago, and Thursday Night Football. The Eagles hosting this time against the Giants as 7.5 point favorites. I made this a top 5 game of the week. I only had 4. This was kind of my 5th edition. The Giants won last time. Eagles probably want to prove a point, and the Giants have some fun young rookies. Let's get into it. Eagles run game needs a good day. They have the Eagles offense doesn't have great rushing numbers. It doesn't have great passing numbers. This would be a great day to get the run game going if you are the Eagles. I've been keep on saying it. They need to do it. This Eagles offense is at its best when it's running the ball first and running the ball well. The offense at whole needs to wake up, but I think this Eagles offense should be able to run the ball against the Giants, especially at home this week. And they need to take away the Giants' run game. The Giants have a good group of backs. They love to run the ball. They run it a lot. I think they average 30 rushes per game. The Eagles have to take away the Giants' rushing offense to have a chance here. Well, not to have a chance, but it would be helpful. I'll put it that way. And they need to win the battles in the red zone. The Eagles, as much as they struggled sometimes this year on offense, and even sometimes on defense, the one thing that has really helped the Eagles out is their top 5 in red zone offense and top 5 in red zone defense. They need to keep that up this week, score touchdowns in the red zone on offense, force the Giants to kick field goals in the red zone, and they should be on their way to another win. And if you're the Giants, you need to run the ball first. Your offense works better when it's doing that. You have a great group of backs. You're a run first offense, at least you have been, in my opinion, this season. Run the ball first against this Eagles defense. Win the turnover battle. The Giants kind of, in my opinion, have struggled with that at times this year, and it's hurt them. Sometimes when the turnover battle is just drawing even, but this Eagles team, if you start giving them turnovers in addition, man, they're so hard to beat. Winning the turnover battle this week might, I don't know if they're going to force a turnover, but for them, it really just don't turn the ball over and make it easier for this Eagles offense. And they need to force the Eagles to be one-dimensional. The Giants' defense is not good against the run or the pass. You can't give the Eagles both options with how many playmakers they have, or you're never going to get a stop. This Eagles offense hasn't been the best hasn't been that great either. So make them either a run only team or a pass only team. Make them be one dimensional. Makes them a little bit easier to stop. Who do I think wins this game? I think the Eagles have been up and down at times, but I don't think the Eagles are going to lose 2 games to the Giants this season, especially not the one at home. Give me the Eagles, maybe even proving a point. Another 1 o'clock games. A lot of 1 o'clock games this week. New England hosting the Browns in New England in Foxborough as 6.5-point favorites. A lot of games are sitting around this touchdown, give or take a point area this week, which I find to be very interesting. Keys to the game, if you're the Patriots, keep May upright. He's your franchise quarterback. He's playing at an MVP level. You don't want to get him hurt. This Browns defense is very, very good at getting to the quarterback. They have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. They're not afraid to blitz. They have a great defense all around. Keep May upright. Make the Browns rookie quarterback throw the ball. The Patriots have a good run defense. The Browns want to run the ball first. Just completely take away that part of the game. Make the rookie quarterback have to throw it a whole bunch to beat you. I think the Patriots could get some multiple turnovers doing that. And they need to force field goals in the red zone. While the Patriots don't allow teams to hit the red zone too frequently, they do give up a lot of touchdowns once they get there. They need to start forcing field goals instead of touchdowns. And the Browns offense isn't necessarily the greatest in the world. They should be able to accomplish that this week. If you're the Browns, you need to find weak spots against the Patriots offensive line. The Patriots offensive line, yes, they have Will Campbell, who's off to a phenomenal rookie season, but this Patriots offensive line I still don't think is great everywhere. I still think they need improvement there. And with your defensive line, you need to find the weak spots to stop the run game and get pressure on Drake May. If you're Cleveland, you need to keep the defense honest. This Patriots pass defense is a little bit more gettable than their rush defense, but you can't just sit back and throw it every play. You can't just sit back and run it. They need to find balance, and they need to keep the defense honest, or they're going to have a tough time scoring. And they may not get to the red zone a lot. They may not get a lot of opportunities, but the Patriots have, as I just said, have been giving up a lot of red zone touchdowns. If the Browns can get there, they need to take advantage and score touchdowns, or they will simply not be able to score enough points, because I know the Patriots are going to score even against this good Browns defense. All that being said, I think the Patriots come away with a win in this game. Finally, into the 4 o'clock slate where there's not a lot of games, the Saints 3.5-point favorite, or the Bucks are 3.5-point favorites going to New Orleans. Let's get into the keys. If you are the Saints, you need to show up with a good pass defense. You know this Bucks team is going to pass the ball. The Saints' pass defense has been a little bit better than average, but not elite. They're going to need to show up with a good pass defense, even with the Bucks having injuries at wide receiver. I don't think it matters. They're still going to be able to sling it. Score touchdowns, not field goals. It's been a running theme for the Saints all year that they're kicking a lot more field goals than they are scoring touchdowns. That's a problem. They need to score touchdowns and not field goals, and they need to run the ball early and often. Listen, Tampa Bay is a good rush defense, but the Saints, to have success, they're most successful when they can run the ball well. They're going to have to run the ball well, find a way to run the ball well against this good Bucks rush defense. To have success, because I just don't believe in their quarterback play. If you're the Buccaneers, take away the run game. That's the Saints' primary way of moving the ball. And if you make them have to move it in the passing game, you probably can get them to make some mistakes with their quarterback situation. So use your good rush defense, take away the Saints rush game. You need to flush last week. It was an ugly offensive game for you. It wasn't up to your standards. Just flush it. Baker probably had his worst game of the season, and it wasn't awful, but it wasn't good either. So just flush what happened last week where you only scored 9 points. Move on to this week. Because number 3, I want you to let it rip with Baker. I think you can get the Saints passing defense. Yes, you don't have Mike Evans, but you still have a lot of other weapons. Let it rip with Baker. Let Baker be great. He's in the MVP conversation even after last week for a reason. So let him do what he's capable of. And I think that Tampa Bay wins this game, and I do think, as usual, the Saints will hang around for a little bit, but I do think Tampa Bay pulls away late. Colts hosting the Titans as 14.5-point favorites. Not a lot to say about this one. Very good team against a very bad team, but I'm still going to try and give you keys to the game here. The Colts, they need to continue having a balanced offensive approach. I think when the Colts become unbalanced or they have to start throwing the ball too much, I do think that's where they're going to run into some trouble at some point this season. But they should be fine keeping a balanced approach against the Titans this week. They need time-consuming drives. I think one thing that's so good against the Colts is because they're so efficient and they're going on these super long drives that take a lot of time off the clock, which really puts you in a time pressure feeling, which forces mistakes. And then these really long drives are usually scoring touchdowns because they're so efficient. And before you know it, both teams have only had 2 drives, and the Colts are up 14-0, and there's only 4 minutes left in the first half, 3 minutes left in the first half, and you've only had 2 drives. You're thinking, what do I do? Colts need to keep having time-consuming drives with how efficient they are. And they need to dominate the Titans' offensive line on defense. I really, really think that this Colts front 7 is slept on in terms of front 7s around the NFL. The Colts need to dominate the Titans' offensive line, shut down the run game, shut down the pass game. And I think they probably will. If you're the Titans, force turnovers. They actually force more turnovers than you realize. They cannot win a game without forcing turnovers, in my opinion. They're going to have to find a way to do it against this efficient Colts offense who doesn't really give it away a lot. But if they don't force turnovers, the defense is just not going to be able to get enough stops. They're not going to be able to force enough punts to win. And the Titans need to find a better red zone conversion rate. They're kind of in the same boat as some of these other bad teams. Not enough touchdowns in the red zone, too many field goals. With how efficient the Saints offense is, if you're kicking field goals, you're not going to keep up. And find your offensive weapons. This Titans offense is really bad, even with Cam Ward trying to make it look good. They just released a vet wide receiver and Lockett. The Titans need to find weapons somewhere. They need to find somebody they can routinely go to. That could make this game easier. All in all, I think the Colts win this one. I think they win it handily. The only question is, do they cover? And the way the Colts have played most of the year, they probably do, because 14.5 is a big spread. But yeah, I don't think there's a way the Titans keep this game close. Give me the Colts to win big. Sunday, a very interesting game with a very good defense and a very good offense. A top 5 game of the week between Denver and Dallas, where Denver is 3.5-point favorites at home. Keys to the game: if you're Denver, imperative to rush quarterback. This Cowboys offensive line has been good all year. They're really good offensively. Dak Prescott has all day to throw. If you're the Broncos and you have such an elite defense, you need to be getting to the quarterback, making Dak Prescott rush decisions. You also need to not get into a shootout. The Cowboys offense is capable of scoring a lot of points. Don't let them. Use your defense. Use the fact that you're at home at Mile High with the advantage. To not let the Cowboys score a boatload of points. There's really only been, in my opinion, one team that was able to kind of handle the Cowboys offense a little bit, and it was the Eagles. And for one half, they weren't really handling them, and for one half, they were. Can the Broncos handle the Eagles or the Cowboys offense here today? Sorry, I'm tripping over my words there. I really think this game, if you can't tell what the keys to the game, is probably going to be one when the Cowboys are on offense and the Broncos are on defense, where it's strength versus strength. But the Broncos need to find consistent success against a bad defense as well. They've really struggled to start games, in my opinion. They've gotten off to really slow starts. The last 2 wins, they have had to come from behind multiple scores to win in the second half. That's not a way you want to make a living, especially against an offense that can score. You don't want to get too many stop. You don't want to get stopped too many times in a row, because then you could be down a lot of points in a hurry. This is not a good Cowboys defense. The Broncos need to find a way to score, and they need to consistently move the ball. And the Cowboys, the defense needs to get enough stops. It's the story of the season for them. If the defense gets enough stops, you feel like the offense is going to score enough to win. Can the Cowboys defense stop the Broncos offense enough? If you're the Cowboys, the offense needs to be efficient. They really have been most of the season. You just don't want to see too many turnovers and too many plus field position or for the Broncos, right? Like if your offense is efficient, just keep, even if you're playing field position sometimes, just don't, offense can't make mistakes. They have to be efficient, not give the Broncos any type of advantage, make them drive the length of the field. And offensive line needs to be a strength. This is a good defensive line from the Broncos. Offensive line needs to continue to be good. They need to continue to block in the run game and continue to give Dak Prescott protection. I think this is a close game. I think it could end up high scoring. I think it could end up low scoring. The Broncos have been so up and down, so streaky. It's hard for me to believe in them. But I think that the Cowboys defense is going to be bad enough where the Broncos score enough points. I think their defense, after last week giving up 30 points, is better this week. I think this is going to be an incredibly close, tight, interesting game, but I'm going to lean Broncos to win it narrowly. Sunday Night Football, the Steelers versus the Packers, a top 5 game of the week. Green Bay 3.5-point favorites on the road. Let's get into the keys. The Steelers, you can't allow a repeat of last week's Thursday Night Football. You can't have that happen again on the defensive end. You can't give up that many yards, that many passing yards to the Packers. You're facing a much better defense. Stay ahead of the sticks. I think sometimes this Packers offense gets penalized, or they just get off to a rough start and then they're behind the sticks. And I don't think that the Steelers can make up from starting behind the sticks. I think they need to continuously stay ahead of the sticks, continuously be making progress, and continue to be dominant in the red zone. Look, the Steelers offense may have cold stretches, but one thing I will say, when they make it into the red zone, they're scoring touchdowns at a very high rate. They're going to have to continue to do that against a very good Packers defense this week. And if you are the Packers, use passing game to get lead. This Steelers passing defense has not been good. You saw what happened last week. You have a pretty good quarterback. You have a pretty good offense. Use the passing game to get a big lead here, or at least stay pace if you're giving up points. Bring your stout run defense. Make the Steelers offense be one-dimensional. The Steelers still like to run the ball. They still like, to stay balanced. That's how they stay ahead of the sticks. But this Packers rush defense has been really, really good. They need to bring that this week. Make the Packers beat you through the air, even if they do have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. And they need to win the turnover battle / force turnovers. I don't think this Packers defense has been good in a lot of ways, but I don't think that they're forcing enough turnovers. The Steelers offense has turned it over in bunches a little bit this year. They've turned it over in a couple games, and it's cost them. The Packers need to win that turnover battle, force some turnovers, make life easier on themselves. Who do I think wins this game? I've been flip-flopping back and forth. I had Steelers, and then I thought about this right before I started recording, and I went with the Packers. The Packers are a deeper, better team, but I would not be shocked at all to see the Steelers not lose 2 in a row. Tomlin is a good head coach. It's really, really hard for me to pick against the Steelers here, but I think the Packers win a very narrow, tight, entertaining game. And the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, the Chiefs hosting the Commanders as 12.5-point favorites. Let's get into it. Second biggest spread of the week. Let's talk about why. If you're the Chiefs, keep offense clicking. The offense the last couple weeks has been getting better and better and better. And now you've added Rashee Rice. Keep this offense going. Keep this offense scoring points, because this Commanders defense will give you some points if you're willing to take it. Confuse Mariota on defense. That's right. Marcus Mariota starting this game, not Jaden Daniels. This Chiefs defense can confuse quarterbacks sometimes. Let's see if you can force some turnovers. See if you can confuse Mariota, make it difficult on this Commanders offense, and shut down the run game. The Commanders are a run-first team. They like to run the ball. They have a backup quarterback, so they're going to be trying to lean on that even more. Just take away the run game altogether. Make the backup quarterback, Marcus Mariota, have to beat you through the air if you're the Chiefs. If you're the Commanders, you want to run the ball first, right? It's no secret. You're on your backup quarterback. You have a lot of rushing yards this year. The Commanders are going to want to run the ball first. You have to find success against this Chiefs defense. I don't think they can win airing it out this week. And take away the Chiefs passing. And the Chiefs haven't been great running the ball this year. They're going to give it to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is going to let it fly. Commanders passing defense hasn't been great. So they're going to have to find a way to take Patrick Mahomes away and make the Chiefs beat them on the ground, in my opinion. And they can't allow long drives. These long scoring drives are killers to teams because not only do you not have the ball, not only does it take a lot of the clock away, you're also giving up scores. So they can't allow the Chiefs to do that. The Chiefs have done it so many times this year. They're so good at just taking that clock away, whittling it down, and still scoring at the end of the possession. The Commanders cannot allow that to happen because it's going to take possessions away, and if the Chiefs are scoring, it's very quickly going to turn into a time and possession game just as much as a score game. I think even with Jayden Daniels, this would be a hard game for the Commanders to win. I think without him, it's going to be incredibly difficult. I think the Chiefs get a pretty easy victory this week on Monday Night Football. Give me the Chiefs to win. Here, as you guys can see, I'm still perfect on my locks this week. I still have the Colts available, so I'm going to pick the Colts at home as my lock of the week. Hopefully, I keep a perfect record there. I'm only picking the biggest favorite in the NFL this week. And the rest of my picks, I told you I would tell you that Chargers-Vikings game is still a toss-up, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick the Vikings. Why not? My gut's telling me to do it. I keep saying, even if my brain is telling me, screaming at me to pick the Chargers, I've been saying I need to go with my gut. So I'm going to go with my gut and pick the Vikings. And hopefully this time, it normally works out when I don't listen to my gut. So I'll probably use my gut and then it won't work out. Hopefully, though, the Vikings find a way to win. Only 13 games this week because 6 teams are on a bye. The Lions, the Raiders, the Jags, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. I only have 13 games, so I'm looking for a 12-1 or 11-2 type of week. Put down in the comments below if you think I'm going to do it. Let me know your picks. Here are my summaries of who I am picking. That's all I have for you guys this week. Sorry for the episode being out late. I'm making it a little bit shorter for some reasons I said earlier. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on X. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your days, your weeks, and your lives for listening. Stay safe. It's a crazy world. Make sure you take care of yourself, take care of your friends, take care of your family. Have a good weekend. Watch some sports. It's officially Sports Eclipse season with all 4 major U.S. sports happening at the same time. Peace out.